They said he could not be the Messiah for a second reason. Oh, we saw him die. He died before our very eyes. He never ruled the world. And so he could not have been the Messiah. And so the Jews are waiting for a Messiah to come. And they know that Allah is not like Washington. When Allah gives His word, He keeps His word. Huh? The Christian view is that the return of Jesus is close. Close. And so they are living in Akhiru Zaman. The Jewish view is that the advent of the Messiah that they're waiting on is close. Close. So they believe that they are in Akhiru Zaman. Huh? In order for the Messiah to rule the world from Jerusalem, the state of Israel has to be restored. In order for a state of Israel to be restored, and for Jews to return to reclaim the Holy Land as their own, the Holy Land has to be liberated, because it's under Muslim ruler. Okay, now we can understand. Why is it that a pope in Rome, and the popes are always European? You notice that? Has there ever been a Malay pope? Huh? The popes are always European. Strange, huh? Now we understand why a pope in Rome launched the Crusades. The Crusades which were European wars, not Christian wars, European. They were masquerading as Christian, but they were essentially European wars to liberate the Holy Land. Why? I'll tell you why. So that the Jews can return to reclaim the Holy Land as their own, so that a state of Israel can be restored in the Holy Land, so that that Israel can become once again the ruling state in the world, and so that the Messiah can rule the world from Jerusalem. It's so simple. So they launched the Crusades. The Crusades never ended. No. Still going on now in Guantanamo, for example. Well, in 1917, something happened. That European world, which had launched the Crusades, finally succeeded in defeating the Ottoman Islamic Empire and taking Jerusalem, 1917. And then between 1917 and 1948, they brought back the Jews to the Holy Land to reclaim it as their own. This is Banu Israel. And in 1948, they restored a state of Israel in the Holy Land. The Christian world was watching. The Jewish world was watching. That these events indicate that we are in Akhiru Zaman. And then the state of Israel grows and grows and grows until it becomes a superpower. We are in Akhiru Zaman for the Christian and for the Jew. And so the Messiah must be around the corner. Around the corner meaning close. So both the Christian and the Jewish view coincide now, except that the Christians say that the Messiah is coming back. Whereas the Jew says, no, that's not the Messiah, the true Messiah is coming. And when he comes, he's going to rule the world from Jerusalem. And he's going to validate our Jewish claim to truth. There are many Jews who are going to be listening to this lecture. Many Jews. They like to listen to me, you know. There are many Jews who are going to be listening to this lecture of mine. And so I want to explain with clarity and briefly. In order for the Messiah to rule the world from Jerusalem and to convince the Jews that he is indeed the Messiah, then there are some things that must occur in Akhirul Zaman, in addition to what has already occurred. We have mentioned in previous lectures two things. Tonight we'll mention a third. For example, we said that in the Torah someone did some rewriting. And if you want to study that subject of the rewriting of the Torah, you can look at my book entitled The Religion of Abraham and the State of Israel, A View from the Quran, which is outside. It's not big, it's small. Or a better book would be Richard Friedman's book, Who Wrote the Bible. When you come to listen to my lectures, you must bring your notebook and pen. I don't see your notebooks and pens. Who Wrote the Bible by Richard Friedman. Try to get that book and read it. He was an eminent American historian of the Bible. And his research in the Bible, his research on the Bible coincides with what Allah says in the Quran. When they rewrote the Bible, they put into the Bible, in the Torah, that the Holy Land extends from the river of Egypt, which is the Nile, to the river Euphrates, which is a lie. It's false. But it's there. So in order for the Messiah to rule the world from the Holy Land, Israel has to extend its territory and enlarge its territory to encompass the territory from the river Nile to the river Euphrates. So Israel has to wage big wars to do that. You can't go home and eat roti canai and go to sleep and expect that the state of Israel will expand. Got to wage big wars. But Israel does not want to wage those big wars and appear to the world as an aggressor. So it will be convenient if the Muslims can rise up, you know, and topple Hosni Mubarak. Rise up and topple this fella in Tunisia. Rise up and topple the fella in Yemen and so on. So that the world will see Islam rising. And then elections in Egypt and an Islamic government comes to power in Egypt. So that Israel can say, Islam is now threatening Israel. And Islam is now menacing the world. So when Israel wages a big wars, it would appear as though Israel is merely defending herself and saving mankind from Islam. See? Those big wars are coming. It should not be more than a year or two from now. When you see those big wars, you know, here is concrete evidence of Akhirul Zaman. Secondly, Israel cannot rule the world, and the Messiah cannot say, I am the Messiah from Jerusalem, if you're still using this bogus and fraudulent and utterly haram paper currency. Every Jew knows that that is haram. Every Jew knows that real money is gold and silver coins. Every Jew knows that. The gold dinar and silver dirham. And the temple in Jerusalem used to mint its own coins. Every Jew knows that. because they did not accept the Roman money because of the head on it, graven image. So Israel has to bring back gold and silver coins as money. And therefore the Western world is going to bring back gold and silver coins as money. We are passing now the stage of paper currency. And we've already moved into the world of electronic money. And the paper money is going down. And then the next stage after that is back to gold and silver. And we the Muslims, what are we doing? I'll tell you what we're doing. We're drinking tariq. That's what we're doing. I could use harsher language than that, you know. Israel has to do one more thing. So when you see the gold and silver coins coming back as money amongst the enemies, you know it's Akhiru Zaman. One more thing and we stop for the azan. Israel has to rebuild the temple. So Masjid al-Aqsa has to go. And they've already prepared the way by using every electronic device that they have to portray the dome of the rock as Masjid al-Aqsa. They've already destroyed the foundations, and so don't be surprised when a very convenient earthquake occurs and the masjid is reduced to rubble, and then they rebuild the temple. When you see that happening, you know it's Akhiru Zaman. So there are many indicators by which we can tell the Jewish and Christian world is now absolutely convinced that the Messiah is coming. We had the Buddhist and the Hindu view of history as cyclic, moving in cycles. We then had the Christian and the Jewish view of a golden age, and then movement downwards, linear movement, until history ends with the return of the golden age. And all four are of the view that the end of history is close. Now let us turn to another religion. It is a religion, I believe. Modern, Western, secular civilization. Its greatest historian appears to be the German philosopher Friedrich Hegel, who spelled out the Western conception of history. That history moves in this way, that there is a thesis and it is opposed by an antithesis, and then these two are reconciled in a synthesis. So we're moving upwards constantly, like a pyramid. Well, we were in a pyramid recently in, was it? Sunway. Sunway Pyramid. This movement of thesis, antithesis being reconciled in synthesis would have us believe that history is moving constantly upwards, progressing, and that the latest is the best. When Western civilization emerged, therefore, it represented the synthesis. What is the Malay word for synthesis? You don't have a word in Malay? No. Huh? What is it? Synthesis. Oh, Malay, so synthesis is a Malay word.